for my Miller's Garden. I'm going to work on the big wood frame and the storage rack. Storage rack has a lot of little details as far as it is mostly wire, so it is going to be built kind of that way. Here we are. So I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can kind of keep track. But so the next thing that we're going to work on, see, I finished the little table that's from the last one. So it took a little bit. Had to do a little bit of wiggling to make sure that things were where they belonged, and then I made it a little more solid by making sure it was all glued in place properly. So now that is going to go sit off to the side and wait for the next thing. Next thing that we are going to work on is going to be this big wood frame. So as you can see, it has components. These components, this piece here is found in bag number 2. So let's pull up bag number 2, and I will grab out that singular piece. So bag number 2, all these little parts, and I believe it's going to be this piece here. So I'll find out when I open up the next one. I don't think it's going to be this one, but I could be wrong, and I'll find out once I pull it out. I'm pretty sure it's going to be this guy, the lighter colored one. So, got that piece. And then the other pieces are in bag number 3. So bag number 3's got two of the long pieces, which make up the sides, and then the piece also on the end. Sure, that piece. And then we got 2 side pieces, which looks like I did grab the correct piece because that is the bottom. 2 sides, and we've got 2 ends, which should also be in here. This is interesting. All right. And our 2 ends. Why is it some of it's like bright yellow and the other part's not? Oh well, I guess. All right. So 2 ends, 2 sides, and a bottom. So we're going to put this together first. So we get this guy, and it looks like those pieces are actually fitted on the bottom. It kind of gives you a little bit of a close-up. Let's put this, so that way you can see these actually go on the sides, not on top of it. It goes around the outside of it. So that is how we are going to attach it. So I'm going to put the 2 sides on first, then the 2 ends, and that will be complete that way. So it's pretty simple. So this is our bottom. As you can tell, it's a little bit, it's the same length as the other ones. So it goes on the sides. So put them on first. I'll have to go back and look at that other video I did, because I know I was more focused on my next meeting that was coming up versus actually what we were doing here. So yeah, life is full of distractions. How you deal with them is how you are as an individual. No big deal. So you want to make sure the ends are flush. Fortunately, it's not too much bowing, just a little bit. Too bad. To get all the pieces in place, we'll make sure that they stay put. We're putting on the glue, putting on the glue, putting on the glue, putting on the glue. Ta-da! Okay. To the side. Is it moving on me because I picked it up funny? You can see it's got a little bit of bow to it too, so that doesn't help, but it's all right. Press it. Press your turn, line it up. Let's get that little bit of bow to it, makes it a little more difficult to make that totally flush. Right, put the glue on the ends and put the ends on. And the rounded part goes towards the top. So, one end at a time. I'm trying to make sure that there's not any. This will also help hold that square on that bottom too. Yeah, it's definitely bowed. It's always so much fun when things are a little bowed. There's not much I could do about the bowing. Other end. This is dry. These do not move. They are not pliable in any way, shape, or form. Now, for some things, it helps the fact that I am videoing it because then I can actually see things a little close up, a little more close up. I don't use readers yet. Big thing is yet. I'm no spring chicken. But I've always been nearsighted. So my glasses are strictly for being able to see for distance. They do have a lens on them that does have like a kind of a bifocal feature, but it's more for like if I'm looking at a computer screen. But it's kind of awkward to use my glasses for using on the computer screen. I hate this, it's twisted. Because this is not, it's warped. It's warped. It's warped. All right. Anyway, there's our little box. All right. Yeah. It's not going to be sticky back here. I pushed down on the sides so the bottom will lift up a little bit, but it's okay because it'll sit more flat then. Because the piece, this piece is a little twisted. It's not just warped one direction, it's kind of twisted. A little bit of a roll to it, so that makes it more difficult. All right, next thing. So this is our big wood frame. That's what they call it in the book. So that is done. We're going to set that aside. Next thing we're going to work on is this storage rack. Does that look cool? So what I need is going to be my brown wire. And it says I need 2 pieces. So let's see here. All right. Nice. Okay. Bend the whole brown wire as shown. Lovely. And then cut after bending. Lovely. And then create 2 complete pieces of A. Nice. Bend as shown and cut after that. Complete 2 pieces of B. All right, so there's actually a little template that we use for this. It looks like this. So this is our template. As you can see, it's got the little spot cutouts for curls. And it's going to probably be set about the same as I normally do. And actually, it's cute because this is kind of the shape that we use for doing like the hanging part for ornaments and stuff. So it's real similar to something that I've done in the past for the family business. So now we get to take our wire and kind of form it to the shapes, that these 2 shapes. And we make 2 of each of those. And then we have this little bitty down here. And this is all the other components that are going to build it. As you can see, we are going to cut 4 of the 45s, 4 at 25, 4 at 10, and they'll each get bent a different way depending upon what their use is. 5, 5, 25, 25, okay, makes sense. 5, 10, 15, 20, And the 25 comes to 45, right? And the other ones get a 5 on that bend, and this is it's 15 this way, and then it gets a little hook on the end. This is like, this ends up being a little thing that ends up, as you can kind of see, ends up holding each of the pieces. So that is what that is designed for. So these little guys end up actually being the clips that hold each of the components together. I knocked over my glue. Lovely job I did. Okay, now, does any of it get glued? No, none of it actually gets glued for that, because it all gets held in place by the little clippy parts. All right, so this is going to be tricky for me to do and still be able to keep it on camera, but we're going to do it anyway. We'll see how it goes. All right, I'm going to separate this from that other. I've got two of them kind of hooked together here. And I want to get the one that I started with. It's a little shorter. So it says to use the brown wire, which I showed you is pretty cool because it's very, very soft. And yes, if you like go to bend it multiple times, it will break. You don't want to do that though. All right, so I'm just trying to straighten it out some so that way it's a little easier to work with. So, but we're going to use our template to help form each of them. First thing I'm going to do though, as you can see in the instructions, is kind of create that little loopy in the end, which if you noticed is kind of the same size I've been using. So we're just going to hold it on the tip, like so, part way up. We're going to curve it all the way around. So that way it creates our little curl. And then we're going to put that little curl into hole. Here, I'll show you so that way you can kind of see that it is very, very much the same size as our little template, so it fits right inside it. It's tricky because I'm trying to hold everything at once. So we're going to hold that flat in the little hole, and we're going to just kind of feed it into the little space. It is designed specifically to actually hold it. So that way it holds it exactly as it needs to be shaped. I want that little guy, same on the other side. So I'm going to make sure that I cut just enough to make our little loopy. So I'm going to cut it off like about there. And I've got it in there. Now there's a lot of different ways that you can do things like this. So just because I'm doing it this way doesn't mean that you can't do it another way. But because I've got to hold it in here and do it this way, I'm kind of pinching it and fitting it at the same time. And then, oh, it was almost perfect. It's a little, I had it just a tear long for fitting in there. So let's see if I can curl this up just a tad. Ta-da! There we go. It fits perfectly. There we go. Yippee. I'll have to turn that a little bit. All right, so there's one. Pull it up. And I gotta twist this just a tad on this side because it's not quite flat. There we go. So there's one. As you can see, this is kind of has a little bit of a bow to it, just like it's supposed to. We'll set that to the side. Now we're going to create another little curl on the end of this. And I give a little tension when I'm twisting it So that way it, okay. I give a little tension to the wire to kind of keep it straight. So there's our little loopy. We're going to put a little loopy in the hole. Little loopy in the hole. Little loopy in the hole. In the hole, in the hole, in the hole. Press it down. Press our wire into the hole. Holding it with my fingernail in there. Now, always when you get these kits, make sure that you're inspecting the individual pieces to make sure they don't have like little burrs and stuff that can prevent you from using it how it was intended. But we're going to press it down in there. No, 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 no. Now the length that we cut that other one was perfect. I'll make sure put that in there so it does not move on me. We're going to hold it like this. And I saw where we had the other one cut. Like just above. And like that. And now we're going to twist it until it fits into the little space. I want to be careful when I do this that I'm not pulling on it when I'm trying to fit it into the little thing, because otherwise it'll pull on this part. I don't want to pull on it while it's in our little thing to help mold it. Get in there. All right, so it's right in there. All right, now we're going to pop it out, and I'm going to make sure it's flat, the little loopies, because you see how they kind of stick out a little bit. So, but I want to be careful that I don't move it too much. Okay, because otherwise it's going to throw it off. All right, now you get two of them. Ta-da! Two of those. Now we're going to make two of these. That should be fun, because we are going to stick it in there. You're like, how does that work? Well, very, very carefully. Of course, it helps if you don't have cold hands, because if your hands are warm, they are more likely to be able to help move your, and I keep it as flush as possible onto the surface of the wood too, so that way it prevents it from rolling. And I know I'm going to have to do a little bit of flattening on it. Once I pull it out, because you see how it kind of pops up a little bit, because I know it's not quite flat. And it's all right to kind of give it a little push back. So. All right. And now that one we could actually kind of just slip it all the way around. And then I can just cut it off. And then when I pull it out, you just kind of flatten it a bit. Try not to break your mold. Can be easy to do. You see how it sticks up a little bit. So this is so pliable, it's pretty easy to just kind of flatten it down. Now you can use something like this too, or even a little needle nose plier for molding and moving. It can kind of serve some dual purposes if you do that way. Now I don't want to press on it because you saw what happens when I press on these. It actually flattens the wire. So there's one beautiful little piece. We'll set that aside up there. So I've got those. And now we're going to do this one. See, these are identical. So quite literally, you could make all of them and then pop them out. But I like to do them individually and take them out individually. So, and I like using this middle one versus trying to do it on the outside. So we're going to do it again. We're going to pop that guy in there. I'm holding my finger flat on the backs too, so that way it does not come out. But this is being stubborn, so we are going to curve it with our finger here. Because it does not want to stay flat. So let's try this again. Put it in there. Because we want this guy to stay locked in that space as we go through. Instead of going through it. He's being a stinker. Alright, tricky, tricky. Yeah. I'm going to give it a little curve with my... because it is not wanting to stay. First one stayed pretty good, but if you noticed how when I cut this off, it's a little bit, it's not pretty. So it's not going to affect its function at all, but it does make it a tad bit more challenging. So. And curve just the end. All right, I'm also going to trim up a little spiky. Because I don't like how sharp that one's. That will work better. Come on, get in there. Try not to add extra little knobbies. Come on. There. Give it a little push back there. So it stays in the notch. And you can kind of see how I've pulled this one up. And reason being is so that way I can cut it off easier. Now, this is long enough to do a couple of the other pieces, so we will be using it for that. Flatten this up. Turning that so it sits flat now. Not flat. It was really easy. Really, really easy. And better. It's still a little curvy. Well, it works. All right, so we've got our those two pieces and these two pieces. And they're the main pieces of the component. Set that aside. Now we have all those pieces that are multiple sizes, so those are going to be the next pieces that we cut. So I need, oh, that one actually is 5. So the one that's 25 is actually, there's actually 5 of the 25. So let's see how long this piece actually is first before we, so this piece itself is 10, 20, 30. This one's just over 30. So I can trim this one down, kind of removing this little notch on the end here if I cut this one to the 25. So I'll cut this one so that way it's 25. And by cutting it at 25, then it makes this about 6, which actually is the size that we need for one of the other pieces. So, got it lined up. Oh, get back, dear. So I'll cut this at 25. And then this is actually 6, so that will work for the other piece. So I've cut already one of those then, and we've cut one of the 25. All right, now to grab some more of our wire. And here's another piece. And we're going to try and flatten it out a bit so that way it's fairly straight for doing our next bit. And so then we need 4 of the 45. So we're going to set this up. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, and 5. So 1 at 45. Come on, stay fine. And come on, get right into the line there, maybe right. There we go, right on the line there. Okay. 10, 20, 30, 40, 5. That's 2. 10, 10, 20, 30, 40. 5. Hmm. 10, 20, 30, 40. 5. So we've got our 4 that we need for that. And now we need 4 more of our 25s. So 10, 20, 5. 10, 20. Oops, 10. 10, 20, 5. Need one more of that. So 10, 20, 5. And then I need several of these, several little 6mm ones. And these are what actually lock the pieces together. Could be very easy to lose these. was a very teeny tiny piece. We'll set that aside because I know we're not going to use it. But now we've got those. I need one more of the tiny little 6mm pieces. So straighten out the new piece here. And we've got one more 6mm. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, no. But I try to make it as close as possible. That way there's consistency. All right. Set aside our brown wire because now we've got all the pieces. Oh, excuse me. All right. Now we'll do our best for sake of consistency on these. I'm going to set this up here for a moment so that way we can pre-bend the pieces that put it all together. So we are going to form these 4 with 5, 5. This is 5, 5, and then 25 across the back. So, and as I showed you before with my one tool, it actually is just slightly over 5. So, I'm going to make sure you can see this. Okay. And it's very difficult to do. So, we got 5. And I'm actually going to do that on both ends. So it helps to try and keep it square. And I want to make sure it's tight as possible. Make sure that when I press this inside here that it's clear and it stays square. So I've folded the 2 ends. I do this too to make sure that I'm keeping this consistent. And then I'm going to bend them again. So they end up creating like a C. So I'm going to set that tool aside because I can't use it to do the next bit. So I'm going to look and see where this sits when I do this. So if I put that, all right. So I'm going to put it at the center. It should be right at that bend. And then I'm going to bend it up again. Creating our C. Okay, we do the same thing over here. I'm going to look to see where that end pops out in it. And that's going to be right about there. I'm going to turn it. That way it sits through it. Right there. As tight to that little corner as I possibly can. And then I'm going to bend it straight down. Trying to keep this as square as I can. It almost looks like a little staple, doesn't it? Like a box staple. All right, that's a little bit, so we're going to have to fix that. Like I said, they're pretty malleable, so I need to be careful. All right. One. I'm going to probably still have to adjust it because that doesn't look right to me. Pull, push and pull a little bit to get the bend a little bit different spot. But I have to still be careful because I don't want to smash my wire either. Yeah, it'll be okay. So take our initial tool, which allows me to pinch and look. I can make square. Yee! And we'll do the same on this side. A little bit. I can move a little faster now that I showed you guys how to do that. Make sure it's square. Always double check you got things facing the right direction. There's been a few times when I've done something and I did not have it facing the right direction when I was doing it. It was not so good. Right. Oops. I want that to sit in there and don't want it to undo itself. Okay. I bent it too far. Okay. I don't know if we're proud of this. It seems like I'm, you know, like it's really easy to do. But when you start repeating things over and over again, you know, it does get easier. All right, now for the next one, it's got a 5 on one end, and then just kind of is bent over on the other. After we'll measure out the 15 though. So I'm just going to use the center of this tool to just bend each of them. So, and then I'll measure up the 15. Get back here. Come here, I need you. Here to pick up. Okay. All right. Need to bend a little picker. There. Clunk. Essentially, we're just bending a little 90-degree bend. That is at 5. Oops, it's a little over. I overbent it. Get back here. I don't do a lot of jewelry bending. I used to do a lot more bending of wire and stuff when I was in high school and junior high. Actually won some awards with some of my work. But yeah, I don't really do much with it now. All right, so now I'm going to measure from our little bend because we want it bent over at 15. So I'm going to hold it up. And as you can see, it's at 20 right now, which it should be because that's what we set it at. And we're going to take and bend the end. so it like flips right over itself. Make sure I put my thing on the right side. Yeah, I want to make sure I keep it on the outside of that so it bends right at 15. There. I'm just bending it right over. And do that with each one. So essentially it's going to be like the same distance we bent the other ones, but it's going to go down, down, like that, and create like a hook on the end. I'm not sure how flat that needs to be. I mean, it can be kind of hard to tell until I actually start assembling it. But all right, and now all of these little guys, you can see them. The little ones now actually get to be turned into little circles. So we're going to, and we want them to be about 6 millimeters, sorry. This ends up being challenging because I gotta press it right about there without squeezing. Ooh, ouch. All right, let's stab myself here. Not. All right. It is very hard to. I'm just going to press on one side. Be very gentle. Because I don't hurt myself. All right. Ooh, can you see it? Oh my gosh. Okay. We're creating little clips. Ouch. Do be careful. No. Oops. I go chasing after it. And then this one. There's one more. And then the fun part, working on trying to assemble this. So here's your next one. And we have one more. So this is the last one. We're going to form it. I said you do have to be careful how tight you hold these. You need it tight enough that it's not going to move, but not so tight that you're going to flatten it, because you don't want to flatten it out. And there's the last one. So now we've got all these guys already. All right, so there's our little pieces. And now we get to look and see how we're going to assemble it. Keep the tools at the ready. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to attach these pieces So we know we're going to have those at each of the corners holding that piece in place. So essentially, now we bring these down here. And these are going to fit inside here, just like this. So that's why this needs to be so precise, because they're, you know, they're identical. So according to this, we're putting one on the outside, so it's going to be one here and then one up here of those little stinky, teeny, tiny little suckers we just finished making, because those are going to wrap right around it. Yay! Okay, now as you can see, this is how it says. It says bend E as shown, and then connect E with AB as shown. Complete two pieces, F. So that creates an F. Looks more like a treble clef. A bit like a treble clef anyway. All right, so this is going to be a challenge because we don't want to bend our shape. So we've got this here. So the first one I'm going to attach is going to be the one on the end up here. Now I suppose if you wanted to, you could pre-glue it. That's entirely up to you. I'm not. Because it is designed to just kind of be held in place with the little pieces. Did I get that wrong both? No, I did not. All right, tricky. Come here. You can kind of see I'm holding this. There we go. Let me get it on there. All right, I am going to take my round tool. Hopefully I can grab a hold of it. Come here. Get back over here, please. I'm holding my finger. There, that's that first one. And now the second one gets attached down here. We want to make sure we maintain our distance correctly. So now we've got this little guy. And we are going to fit it around it just like we did up above. Very carefully going around it very, very gently. Here, if I can get my fingers in the right spot. Okay, come in. I may have small fingers, but this is still a challenge. And if it works better for you to use, you know, your tweezers to help hold it, by all means do so. If you have other little jeweler's tools to help hold it, like some people have like little vices and things to help hold, by all means do that as well. Whatever you can do to help. And actually when I do the other one, I'm going to flip it over so that way it has the seam on the other side. So I squeeze very, very gently because I do not squeeze it this way. Because we want to try and keep it circular as much as possible. You can see that. There we go. So now, yes, we have created one of them. Now they don't put a little thingy down here, and I don't know why. Oh, I see why. Okay, because the other pieces actually wrap around the ends here. So, but that's this piece. Now this one, I'm going to turn it over the other direction to attach the other pieces. So we want to keep it in there like this, but we want to turn it over. That way, when I seam it, the seam will be on this side rather than the other side. So one will go here and one goes up here. I might just attach the bottom one first. Okay, come on, fingers. I gotta get the flip up. There we go. Got it. It's not quite where it needs to be yet. I need to adjust this a bit because we want to make sure they're identical. That's going to go right there. Come on. And then the next one goes up at the top. Take our next little component. We're going to put it up here. Hopefully this behaves itself enough. Yes. Support it with my fingers here. Make sure you can see both sides. We can. Make sure they're both circular, and they are. And those are brother sides. Ta-da! Okay. And as you can see, the next thing is we're going to do these pieces. So C is actually the, if you can tell, it's going to be these ones. These are our C. So we're going to attach C at the front side of one of the scrolls, and then it's going to go across and attach to the other side. So that's how it's going to go. That's how that one attaches there. It helps to hold that scroll in place too. And it looks like then the next C is going to be across from this attachment. So it's going to go right about there from side to side. And then the other C gets attached below where that scroll was attached. So those are our 3 C's. Actually, there's 4 C's because there's another one right. There's one at the front here too. So, all right, those are our next pieces. We'll pick up our babies, and we're going to first attach one, and then we're going to attach the other. So. It's kind of interesting because this gets looped around the part that's out. This stays out for the most part, it looks like. It's hard for me to tell. No, it gets all the way. It gets turned all the way around. Okay. So because this is nice and pliable, what I'm going to do is bend it down and bend it up. Try not to pinch it too much. I'm just trying not to pinch it too much. I'm going to bend this out because it does not take that much to bend it all the way around that component. Tight. Okay. Yes, I'm quiet because I'm thinking too as I'm working on it. So, because I don't want to bend the ever-living poggers out of the boogers. This poor thing. I want to try and keep them nice and square as much as possible. All right. And now that I've done that, I'm also going to make sure that I unroll these ones as well because I do not want that extra bit in there if it's not necessary. And I'm going to curl this a little. I'm just going to curl these. It'll make it easier. And then uncurl that bit. Just because I know now how it curls around there. All right. This one comes around the front here. Da-da-da-da. This is always fun when you're trying to play with the wires like this. Most of the stuff I used to do with wires when I was in high school and middle school, the sculptures I would do were, you know, of animals and things. So they do have to be rather precise. And this is a little different from doing anything like that. But still a lot of the similar techniques, though, for getting it in place. I don't know if you can hear my son in the background. He's kind of a wild one. Curl up all of our ends. And straighten this out because I don't need the extra curvature in there impeding attaching the, sorry, there. It only needs to be enough to go around that. I guess I get a little quiet while I'm working on some of that because if I'm pinching it in place, I want to make sure it stays put in that spot where if I'm pinching. And that is where I want that. So we're going to make sure it stays. So we're going to fix this one up here so that it does not move either. Whoa, come on. No doing that for me. I want to make sure it stays put. Not extra bending. Ugh, damn it. Okay. All right. So uncurl this part. All right, so this live is going, oh, a little over an hour. It's all right. I want to make sure I can get everything in that needs to be in there. I'm going to curl each of these ends. So once I see how it's going to fit a little better, it makes it much easier to figure out what I need to do with both ends. All right, so this one is going to go like right here. So I need to go through that other piece there behind the scroll so that way it comes back out. All right, and I might need to adjust this just a tad for the actual shelf to sit on it, because I do believe my next set is, the next thing is actually the little shelves that go across that. double check here. Because, yeah, it looks like once we get all those pieces on there, so I need to scoot that one down a little bit. Because the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to put each of the last pieces across the top, creating the shelf. So I do need to move this one down just a tad. So it matches up with the other one. Oops, too far. I get this with the other side. All right. And now that I've got these, I can kind of also do this and figure out. Because it'll help hold that shelf exactly where it needs to be as well. So I'm going to put all of them on here. And then we'll move them and pitch them to where they need to go. So put them all on. I'll just put that one over. And put this one in the middle. It's narrower in the middle because if you notice, I've got the little there, and the little bumps from when I adjusted it. So I'm gonna put each one in place and secure it. Slide these ones over for a moment. That way they're not in the way. So does it go all the way out to the edge? Yeah, pretty much. So the first one kind of goes all the way out. Oop. The most part goes out to the edge. I'm going to put it right about there. So that's going to go there. We're going to have one there. This one goes on the end. Right there. Come on. I got some crisscrossies. Okay. Well, one good in the middle. So the next one I want to fasten is the one right in the, that's going to be right in the center. No big deal. Do the other one on the other end first. My finger's running into the other end, makes it a little more difficult. Come on. I might just have to bend these down just so I don't keep running into them. Oh, come on. Not that bad before I come over there. Just because I have a twisted. There. If anybody's ever done any fence building, some of the techniques are pretty similar between fence building and twisting wires over each other. Okay, not perfect. Kind of squished it here. Let's give it a little more space because kind of overdid it here in my twist. It's really easy to do because part of doing fence building is to make things tighter, and we don't necessarily want that in this case. Bend this out just a little bit. There. That's better. Not quite as tight as I had it. All right. Yeah. I pulled on it a little much. I didn't need quite that much. It's okay. Let's just flatten it and not twist it. Putting too much pressure on it, it's not good. So if you ever do this, make sure you kind of look ahead in my video so that way you don't put so much pressure on it like I just did with a couple of those there. It's just not good. All right. Anywho, it's a little wonky at the moment, so I need a little adjusting because this I ended up moving up to when I was screwing around with it. Let's put that down lower. There. I end up stabbing myself. It serves me right. Alrighty there. Okay, so that's our cute little scroll shelf. Yes, I'll do a little more adjusting with some of these to make them lay flat. They don't need to be wrapped around like this. They just need to lay flat. So, and I will fix that a little more. Make sure it's pretty again. But I want to be able to kind of complete that so I kind of see it. But side's been definitely better than the other part of it. And it's cute. So that is the storage part of that. All right. So next thing that we will come back and do, and we'll do that here in a little bit, is we're going to do these. So as you can kind of see, this other, our little piece gets reused. The piece that we used for curling. So we reuse this piece, it actually becomes part of the floor. So we're going to find, we've got our wood piece, and so then we need our paper cut out. So we got two pieces of paper cutouts. We got K28 and K5. So K28, K5, let's find those. And I found them. So we've got, this is K5, and we'll cut that out here quick. Now, if you noticed, there is a measure on the bottom of these kits when you get them. The only problem is it's not broken down into millimeters. It's just centimeters. So it helps something that actually has the measurements for millimeters, since all your measurements are actually in millimeters, not centimeters. Come on. There you go. I'm not perfect when it comes to cutting things out. All right. So here's our rug. That. And then the other piece that we need is right here. So this is the other one. This is our K28. 2¼ K28. All right. So to be able to get to it, I am actually going to kind of cut my, nearly cut my paper in half here so that way I can actually get to it. I got pieces on both sides, and I want to make it easy for myself. So I am splitting that in two. All right, so we're gonna cut this out. I generally don't like to cut out to the end of my scissors, but I am gonna right now. And you'll notice that these have like those little notches and stuff. They correspond to the notches in the wood. So make sure that you do a dry fit before you glue it down. I've done that before where I've not dry fit it before gluing and made some horrendous mistakes. Maybe not with projects like this in particular, but similar. All right, set that aside. Finish trimming these. I'm guessing this is a floor plate piece just because of its actual shape. All right, now like I said, I don't like to try and use the tip, so I'm gonna notch on either side and then trim it out. takes some practice to get used to doing that too. So notch. And if you notice, I cut just past it, just a hair. And then we're going to cut that little bit up. So notch, notch. This one's so thin. Next one is too. Sometimes you just can't pull it off. Alright, tiny little notch, notch. I'll hold this one this way, just so I can see the line a little better. There, got that one. And now a little one on the corner. I'm going to turn it because I can. And cut that one out. Okay. Now the other side. This one has less notches. This side does. This one's only got 4 on this side. Alright, so we do the bottom one first. So turn. Next one. And right now I am kneeling next to my camera stand, so I am hoping that I am in frame. Just gonna notch each one of these. Not quite far enough. These suckers are really sharp. Sharp enough that they can split the paper as well as cut it, so. And believe me, I have cut myself with these things. So I have to watch my fingers too. Quite, there we go. All right, so it's all notched. Hoping I'm showing this to you right. Now remember what I said about the dry fitting? So this side has more notches, and I know the other side has less notches, so I know this should go on there this way. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna lay down some glue on this guy and glue the pieces together. All right, so we're gonna line and glue. Double check this way. That's the way it goes. Good. Take dry glue off the tip there. All right. Gotta get the glue flowing. All right. Glue, 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 glue. And I want to make sure that I hit the edges enough so that way it doesn't come apart. And then swirl the rest. At the edges. Like I said, I'm hoping that you're seeing what I'm doing. That I'm got this halfway decently centered in my camera. And a circle, because we don't want that to. We really don't want this to pull away. Okay. We notice I didn't turn the board or anything, so that way I knew when I picked up my next piece, it would fit perfectly on it, like so. So run my fingers along each of the edges. Like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down and just kind of press. So lay it face down and press on the back side. helps to crush out any of the glue. All right, so the next thing that we are going to put on there, let's slide it. Looks like I need to slide it just a hair. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not perfect, but pretty dang close. The paper is just slightly larger than the wood frame. Next thing we're going to put on it, though, is going to be this little guy. So if you can see that. So it goes on there this way. So this is our next bit. So we're going to put some glue on the back side of this guy. All right, fix that. Turn it over. And then we're going to put it on this guy. So half flour over. It says approximately 9 millimeters over, but doesn't say for lining tops or bottoms, so 9 millimeters is pretty easy to eyeball, at least for me. I can't say that for everybody though. So kitty wampus here. Let's adjust that a bit. That's probably closer to 10, but yeah. If I really want to check it, I can do it this way and go, yeah, what is it? I actually could go over a little bit more. It's only at 8, so I could move it over just a tad. How many people do you know that can put something in place without measuring it and have it within a millimeter or less? Now, you gotta keep in mind what my background is. I was trained as a machinist, a tool and die maker. I did quality tech for, almost 14 years. So being able to eyeball something really precise was just job hazard, I guess you could say, because it's just was so ingrained growing up and throughout my good majority of my working career. All right, so I'm gonna look at my time here, see how much time I've got. Because it's almost 8 o'clock now, so I spent a good hour and a half working on this for you guys. I'm going to pull out and I'm going to do one more thing, I think. We'll do the step board number 2. So this is technically step board number 1. And then we're going to do step board number 2. So it's this little guy. Okay, so we're going to pull up that and we're going to put those pieces together. And that's actually consists of like, it's like a series of little 4 steps. So we'll put that together. So this is step board number 1. And I'm going to make sure I stack these together so that way I know that they're all part of that same thing. So we get step board number 1, and step board number 2 consists of pieces from bag 2. We've got bag 1, which means these are going to be components that I have that came out of bag 1. And then we've also got, all right, so these could be very well paper pieces, and it looks like it is. It looks like we've got our wood pieces, which are 9 pieces, which are going to be all these pieces here, and then we've got brown paper pieces that are also going to get cut out. So let's work on getting that. these are our papers. Okay, so our boards are first going to be out of bag number 2. So this is bag number 2, and let's see if we can find all the pieces that come out of there for this project. So if you've got this one, we've got this one, there's this guy here, we've got that one, we've got this one, which is that first one there. And there's one more that comes out of this bag. See if I can get her to come to the surface for me. And that's this one. So these are our 4 pieces out of bag number 2. All right. So I'm going to set this aside, because those are the components out of that one. Let's see. Now I'm going to look at my guide again and see where these ones are at. But the brown paper one, yeah, I need to look at my guide for that too. So I have my instructions for A's. No A's on that one because those A's are wood pieces. So let's find B's. All right, so we've got our B's here. So we have B12 is right there. And where is B12? All right, so B12, come here. All right, so I've got a piece of wood that's sitting over there that has painted parts on it, but I did not see. Okay, so I've got to find my other, where is it? All right, so I've got this one, but where's my other one? Oh, there it is, I found it. Duh. Okay. I found it. Okay. These are our B parts. B parts. All right, so we need B12, which is this piece here. As you can see, it's this outline piece there. And I also need B7s. So B7s are going to be those little pieces, which are going to be these little pieces here. So those are going to be our ones that we're going to grab out of that. All right, let's do that first. Grab our little knife. Let's kind of look here, see where it's attached. Kind of have to look in the little groove and see. It needs trimmed on the back side, so that's what we're going to do. It allows us to be able to remove this without it. Oops, I have to be careful not that I don't pull my knife out. And I don't want to lose. Oops. Yeah, I'm brilliant. Quite brilliant. Yeah, let's tighten that down where it needs to be. Let's try not to bust things, okay? All right. So this is going to get set aside because that's going to get used later. We're going to set that in the box so I don't lose it. We've got this, and now we need these little guys. So these ones are cut a little different. You can kind of see that their actual notch points are in their corners and not at the center lines like the other ones. You know, when you're doing the wood pieces, you might want to take your sandpaper and cut the little links where they were attached. Just gonna give it a once over, especially if it's going to be a visible edge. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is so tiny. Most people, unless they're really, really focused on your thing, are not going to notice that it has the little thingies on there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Right. So we got those pieces. I'll set this aside over here for later use. Set that off to the side. Great. There you go. Just leave it on my finger. All right, see, these just have little rough spots. So where is my, just give me a sec. Where is it? Kit comes with like a little thing of sandpaper. Oh, there it is. I found it. All right, so I just kind of set it down wherever you may have it. As you can tell, I've used the sandpaper once already. That's when I was painting the other parts. So I'll do each of these. A little prep goes a long way for things. Don't underestimate doing a little prep work on your parts. And we're going to sand this edge too. Trying to think what grit this paper's probably is. It's not. I'm thinking it's maybe, it might probably be 100 grit. Don't do a ton of woodworking, so I always just worked with steel. And I could tell you the difference between a bastard file and all the other types of files and whatnot. And all the different types of tooling, whether or not it was carbide or tool steel. Even the different tool steels, I could tell the difference by appearance and texture. Occupational hazard, understanding the difference between those. Okay, got that. D20. D20 I am going to assume is actually it's either in cardboard. Let's see if it's in the cardboard first. No, those are M's. Though this type of cardboard is M's. So the D20's got to be in the brown part. Let me see, D20. Let's see if it's in here. Aha, D20. So yeah, it's on this one. So it is going to be here. So these are D20. Yes, it goes that way. D20. All right. Those snap a lot easier, so you really don't need to use a knife to separate that out, as long as you press it evenly. So it looks like I just need 2 of those. Okay, interesting. All right, fun instructions. I was just reading what I'm doing next for these guys. All right, so we've got those. I'm gonna set my stuff aside. All right, so we've got this guy, which is one thing. Got these guys. We're gonna set them over there. We're gonna take these guys. It says to trim that connecting point. So when you do that, you just kind of hold it in your hand like this and just scrape it. Connecting points. This one has 2 on this side. Your aim is just to smooth it out. And we'll set those aside. Now, it says here to scrape on A25, A21, and you can see the direction that you need to scrape, A22 and A18. So the direction for the long ones, it's going this way, and the other ones you're going, making sure that you're going the same direction as the drawn lines. So now they want you to scrape it. So I'm not sure if I should really use this tool for that, or if I should use one of my other tools for that. I can't tell what they're using for their scraping, but anywho, so we're just going to scrape it. Doesn't make very deep lines though on that. So I'm going to try something else here. These have a sharp edge, but I don't know if that's going to work either. I can try it, but I'm thinking it doesn't quite open far enough for it to really be effective. But let's try it. And those I can't keep straight. So it works, I guess. Yeah, it works. Okay, combination of different things here. And I'm using the back, you know, one side works better than others, so it's more like pressing than actual carving on it. And this one I know goes this long ways too. So all right. We'll call that good. It's just a matter of distressing it. So we cause some distress marks. All right, now that we've got our parts distressed, now we are going to glue on the parts as shown. So B12, this guy goes on the back side of this one. So it gets glued on the back side. All right, magic time. Glue. Putting it on the non-distressed side. Just gonna square it up. Press it in place. Okay, so that's one. to do the little feety parts on these guys. Put there. And down here. And you can see what I'm going off of here. It doesn't have an exact measurement for where those go. So I'm kind of just assuming that one part can be able to fit into the other, which is how I'm doing it. If that makes sense. All right, non-distressed side. Little pad goes there. I'll put the other little pad right here. Set that aside. This one actually is the same size as the one of the joins. Somebody sent me a gift for one of the songs I joined on them with. Although I sent him a gift too because he did an awesome job. All right, so we've got this one and this one. Let's set that aside. And last one, but not least, is this guy. And this one gets the two pieces set across that, which are going to be these. So, and those are just laser cut out pieces of cardboard. So, here, gluing the glue. Yeah, to stay on top of, because I'm a professional vocalist too. So, you know, a lot of what you see me posting on my YouTube and everything is songs that I'm practicing or whatever else. So a lot of times when I'm doing them, it's just for fun. I don't do any of the ones that I post on YouTube. I'm not for monetization or anything like that. All right, so now I've got these, all four of these guys ready to go. So yeah, all those pieces are ready now for that. So pretty cool. All right. So that is going to be today's session. So that way I can get a chance to get something to eat and whatnot. Take this out of there, flip this around. So that's today. So I got lots of little pieces done today. Today's a Sunday for me is when I'm kind of recording this live and whatnot. So yeah, just be watching for when I can post again. Don't know when that's gonna be, but it'll be as soon as I can. Working on trying to build momentum with work and whatnot. So I'm probably not going to be in here quite as much working on things. And if I do, it's probably going to be like between appointments to kind of just chill out for a few minutes, or during my lunch period. I decided to take a break. So you guys take care, and we'll see you at the next time.